Hello my lovely friends, it's Margaret, and today I'm coming at you with another Fresh Reads Friday. For those of you that are new to the channel, Fresh Reads Friday is the occasional Friday series where I talk about books I have enjoyed recently and I think you should read too. Today I will be talking about Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. Yes, my friends, I finally read it. This has been on how many TBRs now? Ace of Shades is about Insalta. She is a young lady from the city of Bellamy. However, her mother quite often visits her business contacts in New Rain. It's kind of like Las Vegas meets Gold Rush era San Francisco, I believe, or California. So a few months ago, her mother went off to meet with some of these contacts in New Rains, and she has not come back. So Hen goes to the city she never planned on visiting to find out what happened to her mom. And the only place she really has to start looking is the name Levi Glazier. Now, her mother left her Levi's name in a letter saying, if I go missing, go to this guy. He will be able to help you find me. However, Levi has no idea what N is talking about, and he has some problems of his own that he is having to deal with. He is a street lord in New Rains, and he's a little bit in over his head with some of the cons that he has been running. So obviously, if it is in this series, I really enjoyed this book. Let me just tell you though, like, me putting it off as long as I have, it was a good idea. I probably could have put it off longer because this does not end well. And I hear that King of Fools, which is the next book, also does not end well. So like, I don't know how soon I'm getting to that book, but I need to know what happens. So anyways, what I liked about this book, I loved Levi and In. They were great as main characters. I got so invested in their stories and their lives and what was happening to them and what had happened to them. We know a little bit about both of their pasts, but we don't get the full picture. It's kind of revealed to us as the story goes along, and you definitely want to know more. And I really appreciated In's story arc. She starts out as this very naive, innocent, kind of helpless character at the beginning of the book. However, as the book goes on, she starts to realize that she actually has some hidden talents that she didn't know about, and that she is much more capable than she thought she would be in this city. The city brings out some things in her that I don't think she knew she had inside of her. Also, Amanda Foody does a really great job of introducing little details in the story, things that you can think, this didn't really come to fruition, and what was this here for? And then later on in the story, you're like, oh, that's what that was there for. I'm thinking of one specific instance that involves Levi actually using his talent that he has. In this world, everyone has magical talents based on who their parents were, and so Levi has what's called a split talent, and they don't really play together very well. He ends up using it towards the end of the book, and I was like, this is okay. That was an interesting place for that to go. And then it ends up being so important later on towards the end. I was just like, oh, that's why that was there. Like, everything in this book is so well crafted towards the storyline. I didn't feel like there was a single thing that was really, truly, like, unnecessary. And some of the things that maybe don't find fruition in this book, I'm sure are going to be important in the next book based on what I have seen in this one. Also, I was not in the right place for yet another slow burn romance, but this one is so good and slow burn and delicious. I was just, it was frustrating as could be because, like I said, not in the right place for yet another slow burn romance, but at the same time, oh, this is exactly the kind of slow burn romance that I absolutely adore. This is the kind of slow burn romance that got me into slow burn romances, okay? That's basically what's going on here. The only thing about this book that I didn't like is that, honestly, there wasn't enough kissing for my tastes. Like, there's a lot of thinking about kissing, but like, can you really hold that against the book? Can you? It was almost a perfect book, okay? So, as far as the characters, like I said, Levi and In were definitely fantastic main characters. You got so drawn in by their stories. They're both over their head in their situations in very different ways. Like, Anne comes into this kind of methodical and planned, and she's got an idea of what's going to be happening, and then everything kind of explodes metaphorically, and she's like, oh, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and now we're here. Whereas Levi kind of is in this place where he's gone into a risky situation, kind of out of control, not really having a choice in being in this situation, and so he's just kind of trying to not die. They're not shining pillars of moral uprightness, even though some of them want to be, but at the same time, they're not quite morally gray. Like, everything they do, they are trying to do for the right reasons, and they're justified in what they're doing. We have some really great side characters also in this book that I really enjoyed. We don't get to see as much of them. Most of the narrative is dedicated to In and Levi, but we do have these really interesting glimpses of characters who are part of this story and end up helping them get to where they need to go. I really loved Jack. I cannot wait to see what else we have to do with Lola and Zula. Like, what Zula is going to be an interesting one to see what happens next. Also, the villains in this book are so just creepy, and we don't get a lot of them, but they still hover over everything in a way that is great. Like, you don't have to be continually confronting them to be like, oh, this is not good. Like, to know that how things are going to play out, it was so good. Now, as for plot, this is very much a mystery, and like the more questions get answered, the more questions you have that pop up. It's like a question hydra. Like, she'll find one sort of answer, and that will open up like 17 more questions for her. The plot is continually digging deeper and deeper into this mystery of what happened to Lourdes and where is she, how do we save her. Like, just, it continues to get more complicated the deeper in digs. Because this is a series, there isn't, like, not everything ends up wrapped up in this book, but the things that are not wrapped up in this book are quite clearly like, this is going to be the plot of the next book. This is what we're dealing with for the entire series. Like, you're not going to see the end of it until the last book kind of deal. So I wasn't really too terribly upset about that. Like, some of the conflict, the most immediate stuff, is wrapped up within this book. But there are those overarching questions that have you staring at your ceiling at 10:30 p.m. going, how do I get my hands on the next book, and do I want to start it now? I will say that if you are looking for intricate, complex, really detailed world building, this is probably not necessarily the book for you. I can see places where people would be like, okay, but how does this work? And how does that work? And what's going on here? I didn't care about any of those questions because I was more focused on the characters. It is an interesting world. I love the kind of steampunky feel about it, but it is very much a like throw you in and let you kind of tread water and get your bearings kind of approach to world building. She's not going to fill in every single blank for you. She just sometimes tells you this is the way things are and continues on with the plot. It's not quite as modern as some of the steampunk that I have read, but it's not historical fantasy. All of that said, I really liked the world. I really liked how she wasn't afraid to kind of introduce more modern aspects into this very historical feeling setting. It's a really interesting magic system that I hope she goes into more in King of Fools, because I really liked the idea of having these different talents depending on your bloodline, and I liked the exploration of how that molds you as a person and kind of determines what you are able to do with your life. I also like the ways that that magic can be used, and some of those ways are very unexpected. Like, Levi uses his power in a way I was like, that's brilliant. Obviously, because this video is happening, I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was so good, and like I said, I wish I'd had the next book, but at the same time, I'm not sure I want to start the next book because I hear the ending of the next book is worse. Why are you doing this to me, Amanda? So that is my review for Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!